listening to the #1 real estate podcast where we talk with real estate agents and teams all across the world about their wins, losses, lessons, and stories so we can help you win in your local market today. My name is Cody May from Sheridan Street, and I am joined with Vikram Deol, my co-founder of the Real Estate Growth Academy and co-host of the Real Estate Agent Podcast. We have a very, very, very special guest on the podcast today. We have Mike.
We have plural guests.
Plural. Mike Ugarte and Judith Fernandez. We're so excited to chat with you today a little bit about your business, your lessons, your wins, your losses, your stories. Why don't you give us a high-level overview on kind of who you are, where you're at in the world, and kind of like how you got to where you are today?
You're gonna let me start?
Ladies first. Mike's a gentleman.
Ladies first. Exactly.
Only when we're recording is Mike a gentleman.
Yeah.
Wow. Now there's the secret. I have to put a recording on him all the time. Well, hi guys. I'm Judith Fernandez, and this is my partner, Mike Ugarte. We are both real estate brokers, team leaders, investors here in South Florida, Miami and Fort Lauderdale area. We both have been in this business for about a little bit over 20 years. We both have been business owners as far as we've owned our own brokerages, and then we merged our brokerages, did that together, and then we stopped that, and then we became a team. And then from there, we went into management. We helped grow our current franchise, and we helped it grow, and doing just about every aspect of it. We've done a lot of teaching, mentoring, coaching. And then when we decided to step down last year, because we wanted to focus more on us again and focus on the team. So now in the past year, we've created a team, a real estate team. We've used the wonderful services of Cody to help us grow and expand our team as far as leads. And we've also ventured into multifamily, investing with multifamily, as well as Airbnb. So this is kind of, in a nutshell, in like 2 seconds, how we have evolved to where we are today.
So that's easy, what she said.
What she said. I love that.
This is very difficult, okay?
That's
I
awesome.
in 30 seconds would have taken him like 15 minutes.
Hey.
So
a lot of what Judy said is, we met about 12 years ago. And so we've had a history for the past 12 years.
And we're not married.
Yeah, and I actually met my current wife for
Your
4
only
months.
wife.
Judy. So
he's like the annoying big brother, and I'm the annoying little sister.
So really quick, I got into this. I've done sales my whole life. I was in marketing and advertising sales. Then my brother recruited me to come down and help him run his construction company, and that's where I got the big real estate bug, working with him. I hated construction, but I did the back end stuff. That was his gig. It was exciting. He loved it. And then decided to get into real estate. We were going to start doing developments. And because, I'm known for having great timing, we started our first development, and I started my first brokerage in late 2007, sorry.
Great timing.
I would say 2008 is not super bad. 2007 might have been a little bit bad.
2007, we started a big four-story office development. And right in the middle of it, everything crashed as we were getting ready to build it out and all that. So, the fun stuff. We got hit by the crash. We learned a lot of lessons there during that part.
Yeah.
And then, like Judy said, we've done a little bit of everything in this business. We've been managers, owners, trainers, recruiters. We've kind of reached the gamut, agents, and now investors. So that's the next iteration for us.
Yeah.
Like when we originally decided to ask you to be on the show, I knew that you were going to bring so much value to agents and teams and brokers. And where I kind of want to go next is kind of around the broker, because I think that a lot of teams, as they grow, they have this thought of should I be a broker? Should I run a team? Yeah, don't be a broker. No.
Let me speak to that one. About a year into real estate, I was in a mastermind group. One thing that was super, super important to me, I started my career with a coach and mentor. I knew that if I wanted to get somewhere fast, I needed someone to help guide me. So I was the rookie of the year my first year in real estate because I had my coach and my mentor with me. So I've always been a huge proponent for that. So when about a year into real estate, I was like, well, should I grow a team or should I open up a brokerage? And believe it or not, nobody in my mastermind group could tell me or guide me, and nobody. So I ended up opening up a brokerage. Like literally, back then you could get your broker license after you've been in real estate for a year. So I got my license in February. The following April, I took the broker exam. And by November of the following year, I was opening up my first brokerage. Like, that's how quick I went into that. And I really, really wish that I would have created the team instead of the brokerage. So the brokerage could come out of the team, but now, I don't feel, I don't regret having created a brokerage and going through the path that I went. But, in retrospect, if I would have created the team, it would have made the brokerage so much easier for me.
Let me ask a couple of questions, because I have a lot of clients that I work with that they're struggling because they're like, oh, we pay so much to our broker. And I'm like, so what? Like I paid $70,000, $60,000, $70,000, $80,000 a year for me and my team to be at our brokerage. And I had my own office space. I had 3,000 square feet. I had a conference room, bullpen, right? We had it all. Our own phone system.
You had a full staff and you had the whole 9 yards. Yeah.
Shebang. The full, like our own, we even had our own dang lease that I had to get out of when I shut my business down. It was a pain, right? Like I had to actually have somebody buy my lease out. Total pain. Mm-hmm. So many agents get stuck, right? They're doing something, they're having some success. And Judy, you guys, you nailed it. They're having some success. They're the rookie of the year, whatever. They sold 11, 12, $15 million. And now they're like, oh, let's do something else, right? They get the shiny object syndrome. Mm-hmm. And instead of trying to build out infrastructure to build a high, powerful, like high performance team, they start this thing called a brokerage. Hold on. I have to say it. Brokerage. And it's so much work. It's so much compliance. And it's like, I never wanted a brokerage. So I just built a broker, and I didn't want to be in my broker's house, right? I wanted to move out of mom and dad's house and have my own house. So I moved out in my own house and have my own everything. Why do people feel this need in 2022, 2023 to want to create this brokerage when they're not ready to even have a team?
I can answer that. A lot of it comes down to ego. And
I'm also so glad you said that.
So it's your ego talking, because you feel you have to have the name on the front of the house
and pressure,
right? And that's what you hear other people say. You got to have your own business. Because for whatever reason, realtors don't feel like they're running their own business when they're working under a broker, but they are. And what they don't realize is they're running a more profitable business than the actual broker is. Because if you think you're paying a lot of money to your broker, ask your broker how much money they're paying to keep you.
Yep.
Right, because we've been on both sides, right? To keep the doors open, to keep, to have all the systems and
to have the systems, to have all the coaching, to have all the utilities, to have all the players, the staff, everything. There's so much that goes responsibility, and not only that, but our licenses, we're liable for all of our agents' mistakes. It's like, oh my God, yes.
Yeah, the insurance. I mean. Listen, if somebody is dead set on starting a brokerage and they have a great idea and they want to set it up, and go, go for it. But it's not for everybody. It's something you really need to think about. I've come around and I tell people all the time, I would rather set up a team or a brokerage under a broker and have less headaches and have more control than actually have the brokerage. And purely from a financial standpoint, if you're going to compare the two, having a brokerage doesn't make sense. The average net profit is 2%.
That's
right?
crazy.
2%.
2%, because everybody now, there's so much pressure to give such a high commission split to the agents. If you're going to attract good agents, you have to give them a high commission split. So when you look at all that you have to provide them with in order to attract them to be part of your company, plus the high commission split, you're making so little money.
And the average and a well-run team can make about, leave for their owner probably 30, around 30%. Let's say 20 to 30%.
If it's a good team, it's we were running in our high growth mode. We were like 20, And our best times we were close to 35 because we were paying our team out 50%, but a lot of the fees you just roll over because you're doing so many deals. So your fixed costs are the same, but your profit level goes up because you build capacity for future growth. And then when you start to hit that capacity, it's like, whoa, holy crap, we just made like an extra $36,000 this month versus last month.
When you start a brokerage without having a team to take over the slack, you find yourself wearing the hat of a broker as well as the hat of the top producer, because usually you're a top producer who opens up a brokerage so you can keep more of your money. And then guess what? You still need to produce. And while you're growing your company and while you're paying for all these fees. And so definitely team first, brokerage second.
Well,
if at all.
I mean, Vikram said it. I mean, and I was going to go there, right? So the crappiest run team is still more profitable than the best run brokerage.
Yes.
Yeah. So interesting. So like you guys have worked with so many agents through running a brokerage, and you've obviously worked with like high performing teams. Like what are some like of the intangibles that these high performing teams are doing that are driving results for their business and driving results for the brokerage? Because like me and Vic were having a conversation the other day about like, just like for the most part, you know, sometimes it comes down to lack of training, but in other times it comes down to just the fact that a lot of these agents just don't want to do the work. They don't want to door knock. They don't want to cold call. They don't want to, you know, cold DM people. Like what are some of the intangibles that you saw in high performing teams that got them to where they were and got them to where, like, you know, what set them apart?
Okay. I'm going to bring Tom Ferry into this, because I remember one of the first Tom Ferry summits we went into, he was talking about the personality of the team. Like there's 3 different types of personalities. You know, there is the artist, this one over here, who is usually disorganized and is a people person and who loves to talk and attracts and brings people.
Mike's disorganized. What?
Mike talks a lot. Huh? That's weird. I've never heard Mike talk.
There's the operator, that would be me, who is the organized person who's the back end organization, everything runs, systems, process. And then there's the entrepreneur, which is a little bit of both. So whenever I have an agent who's come to me and says, we want to team up, I always be like, okay, guys, if you don't have at least one person who's an artist and one person who is an operator, this team is doomed. You can't have 2 operators. You can't have 2 artists. You have to have the combination of that, because somebody has got to be the person who's going to attract and prospect and bring in the clients. And then the other person's got to be the organized one who's going to take care of the transaction, which is why in our team, we work so well, because he loves to talk and bring in and get the lead and prospect and all of that. And I love to take care of the transaction. So we complement each other super, super well. From the beginning, we always complemented each other that well. So if you're going to have a successful team, you need to have those 2 components. You can't have 2 of the same people. It's just not going to go anywhere unless you want to hire the missing component.
And at the most basic, you have to be willing to do the work.
Yeah.
You asked a question, so I'm going to give you one of my favorite quotes, and it's a Leonardo da Vinci quote, and it's my favorite quote of his is, "It had long since come to my attention that people of accomplishment rarely sat back and let things happen to them. They went out and happened to things." So it's action, right? And you know, a lot of agents have that you know, from our experience coming to the business, and you know, and one of the things that you tell them in the beginning was, you know, I really wish I could go out and win the Boston Marathon. All right. I just don't want to have to run the damn thing. And if that's your attitude, you're not going to make it in real estate. Right. Because we all want, and there's a big gap between want and do. And we have to get into action. We have to do things. We have to actually do the work. And the agents who are most successful get that really quick, that this is not just, it's not a hobby. Right? It's a business. And to make it work, I'm gonna have to put a lot of work into it. And you tell them, if you know, when you had a regular job, right? If you were working for a good boss, who was the first one in the office? Right?
Boss.
And who was allowed to leave? Well, guess who's the boss now?
You are.
It's your business. You got to do whatever it takes to make your business thrive. And you know, you can't just sit back and wait for it to happen. You know, you just
Yeah, this is not Field of Dreams.
right.
If you build it, it will come.
But
No.
I got my
Great.
just because your license, customers don't
Yeah.
parachute out of the sky.
Really?
Well,
Oh my
I
God,
know
that's so
I tell them
weird.
every conversation
Huh.
you have is a little seed that you plant. Always be planting seeds because they grow at different rates. And that's kind
Totally.
of, that goes into the prospecting, the conversations, and the follow-up. You always got to nurture, water the seeds to be able to get, you know, sprouting flowers at any given time. And that's kind of this business. Always be talking to people, and always be nurturing. And like you said, be willing to do whatever you need to do to get that next deal.
So
Love that.
I think we've kind of hammered the brokerage model. And I think that,
Literally.
I think that for most people, if you're thinking about opening a brokerage, like stop and really assess why you're doing it and really assess your cash flow, because anytime you stop your production and you start training other people, there is a ramp up period that people don't think about. And there's a time component. So when you're ramping up others, they're taking your time, and that cuts into your, all of a sudden you went from a $400,000 producer. Now you're like, oh my God, it's August and I made $175,000. And my team that hasn't produced anything is sucking the life out of me. And you're not even excited about them.
Yeah.
I want to ask you guys, because you guys have been in the industry long enough. You guys have seen the ups and the downs, the goods and the bads, right? How do you stay resilient? Because I'm a firm believer that resilience is a superpower that most people don't have. And when the times get tough, they get out. So how do we stay resilient as times are shifting right now? And, you know, a lot of people got in and they were just drinking the gravy. So now that the gravy is like, oh, the gravy, you know, train is stopped. How do people stay resilient? And how do we work on the mental component of what's about to come for a lot of agents so that they don't end up leaving the industry and they actually can succeed?
Well, talk about your mindset. You know, I how many times do the agents come to me and they're all frustrated because they have no business, you know? And
All
it's
the
like,
time.
well, who have you spoken to today? You know, and what's your mindset? What's going through? The only way to get through something is to continue going through it. And that takes that's through life as well. When shit hits the fan, okay, well, and it's happened to me. And how many times have I come out and it's like it's Shitsville, and I sit in my car, I'm like, today is a great day. Today is a great day. Mindset. I gotta get myself back. I'm like, nothing's gonna get in the way of my great day, and I have to do that, because if not, you can't just wallow in. I mean, okay, give yourself 5 minutes to wallow in the bathroom and yell and scream. But when you're in front of your client, you have to be calm, cool, and collective. I'll tell the agents, like, you can come into my office and you can yell and scream and do whatever you want. But when you're done with that, let's talk. Let's see. Let's mastermind and see what possible solutions we can create. And then you come to your client calm, cool, and collective, and you give them solutions versus the problems. Because if all you're gonna do is say, "Oh, life sucks, life is horrible," you're spiraling down that hole with them. You know, so a lot of it is mindset. You just got to persevere. You know, all the balls are up in the air. Guess what? If you don't go through it, eventually a ball will fall down, and all the other ones will fall into place, and you can get back up on the horse and continue going forward.
Yeah, and it comes down to doing what you need to do, doing whatever it takes. I think, you know, I was a stubborn kid, so I think that's helped me as I'm going. And my son is stubborn too, which drives me nuts because he's exactly like me. Yeah. But you know, when you're stubborn or persistent or resilient, like one of the things that I remember during the last crash, and you know, this isn't a crash, but during this shift, well, all the shifts, right? Every time things shift, anytime there's a shift, good or bad, whatever it is, it's change, and we're not comfortable with it. So we have to adjust, and that period is always difficult. And that's where a lot of people, like you said, give up. One thing that I've always done is I've realized, okay, that's the time where I got to work even harder. I mean, I probably should have been working harder before, but now I really need to work harder and forget what's going on. You know, don't complain about what's happening. Don't worry about what's going on. Now you got to be more focused on what you need to do. So the phone calls I wasn't making because it was easy. Okay. Well, I gotta make the phone calls, right? I've got to make that extra phone call, or I've got to, you know, make sure that we're doing the right things with our customers, getting the referrals, whatever it is in our business, just going and look at where the gaps are, and then try to fix them. And if I have to get, we're lucky we still have a mentor. Well, and that's what we have a mentor for.
Yeah.
So you reach out to other people for help, but you have to get back to work. You can't sit around and go, oh, whoa, like Judy said, oh my God.
Me.
Yeah,
Life sucks.
the sky is falling, the sky is falling. I don't know what to do. No, you know what to do.
Yeah.
Right.
We all know what to do. So
Just don't want to do it.
Yeah.
right. We just don't, or we're afraid to do it for whatever reason. But you just have to do. You have to trust yourself, right? And that's a big ask for a lot of people. But you just have to trust yourself and trust the process, and just do it, because you will come out of it. I mean, everything has an ending. Every beginning has an end. Right. And the goal for me, and one thing, even during COVID, when COVID came, which was the ultimate, where we were all freaking out, right? In March of 2020, and the world literally stopped.
Yep.
I remember one thing I said is, hey, this too will pass.
Yep.
Eventually this is going to end. We don't know when. So rather than sit here and not do anything and complain or sit back, right? We were told to stay at home. One of the things that I decided to do in my mind was, I want to come out better. Right. And I want my business, I want myself as an agent to come out better from this trial than I was going into it. So what do I need to do to get better? Right. So I changed, one of the things I changed, I started reaching out to more people, but instead of asking for business, I just asked them how they were doing.
Yeah.
And even today, that's the best script in the world, is just, hey, how are you doing? How
We're here for you.
I was thinking about you.
Yeah.
And then let the conversation go to where it goes. But we came out better from COVID, because we decided to let's take the time, right? And let's just figure out a way to be better and come out of this better than just kind of staying the same.
Yeah, we didn't hide or sit back and wallow. We spoke, and we were like, well, what can we do? And it really came out, like Mike said, it really came out of us just wanting to reach out and say, hey, we're here for you. Like, we just want to know, how are you guys holding up? Is there anything we can do? How can we help? Because like our clients, or whether you're a client or a prospect or an agent or whatever, you're still part of our life, and we care. So we're human, and we just wanted to keep in touch. And that is what, and it just started growing from there.
I think one of the best things that happened to us in COVID is we began to appreciate human interaction better and more.
Yeah,
right.
Totally.
And that's one, even with our agents, because we were still managers at the time, even with the agents, we started setting up Zoom calls. Immediately we pivoted to Zoom calls.
Yeah, coffee time or happy hour.
So we were doing happy hours, and instead of normal trainings, we were doing happy hours and virtual happy hours and virtual coffee meetings in the morning, and just talking about stuff, whatever it was, right? And that helped everybody. Again, it's just going back to being human, and I guess that's what it taught us. Because you get into the salesperson mode, you forget about being that. Hey, your customers are humans, right? Leads are people too, is what I like to say.
I know.
It's true. It's true.
Well, business isn't taught, like, didn't mean to cut you off. Business is taught, like, ask the Ford questions and find a commonality between you and them, and like da 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 da. And it's like, why don't you just find the realism of a community, like of a conversation? Like the way that people have conversations with people are so like monotone and dry and lifeless. And then they're like, well,
weird.
I called these people. Yeah, they're weird. It's like, I called these people twice and I don't want to call them anymore. I'm like, why? They're like, well, I don't sound real. Like, I sound like a robot. I'm like, because you're following like a stupid script from 1990 that some person made, and then everybody started using it because it worked for a while, but like nobody's updated it.
And that person probably never sold real estate.
I mean, even if they did sell real estate, even if they did sell real estate, like, it's all the same crap that people are talking about. And like, when you actually start asking questions like, hey, you told me that you wanted to move because you wanted a better quality of life for your kid. Is that still true today? Oh yeah, it is. Like, hey, I'm calling to talk to you about the market because the market's shifting. And I just wanted to give you a little bit of education that you're not going to hear on CNN or Fox, right? Like, when you have a conversation with somebody and you actually bring something of value, it's like, oh, by the way, before we get into that, how are you right now? Like, how's life been post-COVID? Like, are you guys still in like weird situations? How are the kids responding? You can use a script to keep you on guide, but you can use your humanity to connect with people. And that's where, you know, the difference between like the people who do a couple of deals a year and the people who are like you guys who have longevity through multiple shifting markets is that you guys have a way, like when we chatted or when we met up in Miami, what, a month and a half ago now, right before Cody and I went to Colombia.
My goodness, that was a month and a half ago. That's crazy.
We had to like, I was like, all right, Cody, I had a kidney stone last week. I don't even, I got to like undo like 90,000 electronic gadgets. You have no idea the amount of work that I have at home, plus pack and take apart a computer. And we're going away for 5 weeks. And like, I'm at energy levels 30, but I don't want to leave these guys because it was so much fun. And when we left, we were so energized.
Yeah.
When most salespeople leave, the prospects drained. When we left with you guys, we were energized. And I think that dynamic that you guys have been able to cultivate with each other is something that people can learn, but they don't want to put the effort in.
Yeah.
Yeah. I used to work on radio, right? not behind the mic, even though I have a face for radio, but I did advertising. But it's one of the things I tell people, and I see it all the time because I used to see it with the DJs. There's the persona that's on air. And I think when we get into real estate and we're told, hey, make a phone call, reach out to a customer, we feel in our mind, we need to be this persona, right? Yeah. So we want to be salesperson of the year. We want to have the magic words, right? And that doesn't exist. There's no magic bullet. There's no magic words. That's anywhere.
Right.
But what we fail to realize is, you know, if I continue to be why not talk? And this is one thing we used to teach when we used to do scripting is be yourself, right? Be natural and talk to them like you're talking to your, like Sharon says, talking to your grandma, right? Or talking to a family member, talking to your best friend. You don't have to complicate it. Just be you. People like the genuine you, right? And that's all you need to be. And be human. Like, show them you care about them.
Yeah.
And what they're going through. And that's all. That's the best salesperson or pitch in the world is be human, be natural, be caring. And if you can help them, you can help them. If you can't, you can't. I mean, there's nothing wrong with saying, hey, this is not the time for you to do this. Like, we all feel like, and we're pressured, or, and this is also on the brokerage end,
right?
You create that pressure for the agents that they have to produce.
Well, they only make 2%. So they actually have to produce because
they have to have them produce. But you do, right? And if you're in this business, you have to, because then you have to pay the bills. But it doesn't have to be awkward. You don't have to be somebody else, right? This isn't a Clark Kent Superman deal. This is be you.
Yeah.
Right?
You have to come from a space of service
and sometimes that's your superpower. It's just being you.
That is a superpower.
Yeah, that 100% is. I want to close up here with like just talking a little bit about what you guys have done. Like, cause like, it seems like there's some things that you're doing differently than a lot of like teams or a lot of leaders and a lot of agents. Like, you're going to a lot of live events. Again, we're going to see you in a couple of weeks at Latitude, and you seem to go to a lot of live events. You seem to, invest into mentorship and coaching. It's like, how important do you think that is in a team setting, but also as a single agent?
It's having the opportunity to have a mentor or coach, or even to go to live events. It gives you, it's always giving you fresh ideas and a fresh perspective on how things are doing. I mean, networking is super important. You get to meet a lot of great people like you guys. But I think it's that, like, I remember the very first coach I had is, real estate, you get from A to B. If you do it on your own, you're going to go take you forever to get there. But when you have a coach and a mentor and a mastermind group, you'll get there a lot faster. Why do people join a team? Because you're going to get there a lot faster. You're going to be thrown into it and have the coach and the mentorship and the guidance to help you get to where you want to be a lot faster. If we didn't go to these things and be surrounded and get these fresh ideas, and guys, we don't need to reinvent the wheel. We just need to grab the ideas that make sense and recreate that for us.
It's one of the biggest, like, and I'll cuss because Judy cuss. One of the biggest crock of shits in business.
I do.
And in especially in real estate, right? It's a real estate business. Is you hear it all the time. And by the way, this is the way I was raised. My parents are immigrants. Is you have to do it on your own. It has to come off the sweat of your back. You have to break your back, right?
Horrible.
And that's like the worst advice in the world. And I did that for like 10 years. And I never considered myself, I mean, I was a successful agent, but I never considered myself a great agent until I had to get coaching in 2008. And I remember one of the brokers that we work with, he told me the same story, that when he got coaching, he said, well, the one thing he said is, Mike, I will never do this business again without coaching. And that stuck with me.
Yeah.
And since that day, I've never done this business without coaching. The success I've had, and the thing is, I became a student. Coaching taught me, having a mentor and a coach taught me, hey, become a student of the industry, learn as much as you can. And I was able to take on challenges that before would scare the crap out of me, right? I had when I had my office, I had an office, they basically gave me the shell, the retail space, and said, this is your office. I need you to grow it. You have 5 years, and you have 5 years to make it profitable and to get agents. And I said, okay, crap. And I never done this before, right? I've had agents and I've never grown it to what they wanted to do it. Well, I was profitable and I was recruiter of the year, and I had the second most producing office out of 8 offices within 3 years. Like, and the only reason it was, what's your secret? I go, I have mentoring, I have coaching, right? I have somebody who's helping me behind the scenes, and I'm paying for that, right? And it's not an inexpensive investment.
Like, our company never paid us for our coaching at all.
Really?
Like, we would get together once a week.
That's how
We would do
most
a
companies are.
once a week with all of
they
the
don't.
managers, and Mike and I were the only two that had our mentoring and our coaching. And it was like, we were sitting on one side of the room and they were sitting on the other side of the room, because it was just like, the level of vision that we had was so
Bigger.
above and bigger than them.
Yeah.
We were the ones who were guiding and moving everything, because we had someone to help us guide us through and learn from all the other ones. And everybody else was like, wow. It was like,
we were averaging like again, I don't want to say
we were the top 2 offices.
and not to kind of pat on the back, but we were averaging like 6 recruits a month. Right?
6 recruits?
6 new agents per month. So, what we did, so it was about 72 a year. And we did that because we had help, right? And we were confident in how to do that. And again, that's what got us recruiters of the year, because, and by the way, it wasn't just our office, our whole that company was averaging between all the managers. So we had like really, and we were competitive. So in a good way, but we really had the help, to do it, and the mindset to get that done. It just opens your mind to do it more. And it is also networking. You have to get out there. You mentioned that. Why do we go to live events?
You have to network and meet other people.
I don't go to live events to hear other coaches tell me the same thing I've heard 3,000 times from my other coaches,
who may or may not sell real estate.
Right, who may not sell real estate, or listen to a top producer tell me something that I probably doing, they may be doing it better than me, or something I know I should be doing that I'm not. That's not the idea. The idea is you go to network and you meet other agents. If you're building a team, you have to network, because where are your agents going to come from? It's about relationships. Do it on a local level. But also, the reason we travel the country is one, we're also building a network, a national network. And we want to build that referral business. It's a big part of our business. Plus, now we're getting into the investment side of it. I mean, it all feeds into it, right? It's all about relationships, 100%. And you never know who's like.
Well, if it wasn't for these networking and these relationships, we never would have actually been able to get into the investor side that we're doing now, because we were exposed to it through Sharon, and then he was like, "Why don't you guys do that?" And we're like, "What? Wait, huh? Wait,
What is
okay,
this? Yeah.
We wouldn't be sitting
We
here
would-
talking to each other if it wasn't for the fact that I mean,
Right.
I know Vikram was, used to go to the events that we went to.
Yeah.
We had the same coach a while back nationally,
Yeah.
Yep.
and we would go to those events, and that's the
Yeah,
first
and
time I met
Cody,
him.
you stepped in one day for Sharon that he was at, and we got to hear your
Yeah.
presentation. And Mike and I were in two separate computers in two separate places, and we were like texting. You were talking, we were texting. I'm like, Mike, this is what we need.
We gotta hire
Like
this
we're
guy.
calling him now.
Show him
I
the
love it.
credit.
Like here.
Give him the black Amex. Hurry up.
Yeah.
I just want you guys to know, don't check your credit card because Cody and I did not use the number at all. You guys, I would love to keep rapping with you, and I know we could do this for
Yeah.
hours and hours and hours. But just for the time of our listeners, because obviously we want this to be short and sweet and impactful for them. Where can people find you guys at? Where's the best place?
Our website,
Okay.
www.fernandezugarte.com, and
They can go to the same, also on Facebook, we have a Fernandez Ugarte page. They can reach out to me at Mike Ugarte on Facebook, or on Instagram, it's Ugarte Mike. What's your Instagram?
I'm Judith_Fernandez Realtor on Instagram, and Judith Fernandez Realtor on Facebook.
So
Oh, yeah.
one to wrap it up, what would you guys say is the one quick tip in 15 seconds that people should be focused on moving forward right now? And I'll let you guys both give a quick tip.
Well, for me, and kind of to wrap it all up, you have to be coachable. You have to be willing and open to receive criticism and receive advice, and be willing to do changes and do what you want. You can go to a lot of events and meet a lot of people and hear a lot of things, but if you're not coachable and you're stuck in your ways and I'm going to do things my way, you're never going to grow. So if you want to grow your business, be always open to being coachable and listening to things and listening to advice and pay it forward. Help when you
Love it.
can.
I love it.
Two things: learn as much as you can about the current market. Find people who have been through this before and get their advice, and find out what it's going to take to get through it if you haven't been through it before. And then reach out to people, because if you're scared, imagine your customers, they're 10 times scared.
Yeah.
So find the information that you need to make,
That scares you too.
to help you get through the fear. And then call your customers, be human, call them. And then, hey, I know things are crazy in real estate. Do you have any questions? Or do you know this is happening? Or, the Fed just raised again. Hey, the Fed just raised again. How do you feel that's going to affect things? Or is it going to affect you? It's two things. You're talking about real estate, and you're asking about them. So
Yeah.
Be
Yeah.
human and
Be
be
human.
open.
right.
Human
And
be open.
answer their question. It's a great time to be a resource for them. They're going. You don't have to tell people you're in real estate. You don't have to call them. If you're in real estate and they know, if you're calling people and they know you're in real estate, they're going to ask you. That conversation is going to naturally happen. So just call and see how they're doing during this time.
That's amazing advice, and like so much value for people that are wanting to start teams, and just around coaching. And just from the bottom of my heart, and I know Vikram echoes this sentiment, just thank you so much for joining us today on the Our Agent podcast, the number one podcast,
The number one podcast
in the world. Judy, Mike, thank you once again for joining us, and thank you for tuning into another episode of the Our Agent podcast. We will see y'all soon.